Okay, it's 3 o'clock. Call this meeting to order. This is the meeting of the Engineering Equipment Committee of the Vallecitos Water District, Tuesday, May 28th, 2024, at 3 p.m. at the district office, not in the boardroom, upstairs in the conference. Do we have any public comment for anyone on water?
We do not, sir.
Okay, with that, we'll go to item 1, fiscal year 23-24, capital improvement program quarter 3 update. I assume that's right.
Yes. Okay. Good afternoon, Engineering and Equipment Committee. Happy to be here to share the capital facilities fiscal year 23-24 third quarter update, and also just bring you current on some events that are making it to the board action calendar here in the near future. Just a refresher how to navigate to the capital facilities webpage under departments. If you click on engineering, brings up the engineering wheel. If you go to the capital facilities cog, active CIP projects, this gives you a map with thumbnails to navigate all of our different projects, or you can just click on this link right here. It'll give you a listed view of all of our projects. A couple I want to just highlight and let you know we're working really closely towards bringing acceptance to the board for the Montiel force main and gravity sewer improvements. We're doing the last little bit of gravity lining for that project now. And the 16-inch emergency bypass pipeline rehabilitation, similar story. We're doing the last bit of trenchless pressure lining. You might recall from the recent board meeting to authorize that work. Once those 2 items are done, these projects will be ready for acceptance, and you'll be seeing those soon at the board. Getting on to the kind of the bigger projects we're working on, the Meadowlark 2 projects, chlorine contact tank expansion, and the conversion to sodium hypochlorite. As you probably recall, we have married these 2 contracts into one. With the third quarter update, I believe with the change in budget, once the budget gets adopted, future updates starting at quarter 1, we'll have the project shown together under the same project. But because it's prior to the budget being approved, they're still under their own projects, respectively. But we have advertised bids. We did that in early April. We held a pre-bid meeting on site April 18th. 11 prime contractors showed up, big primes in attendance. We are going to issue our final addendum today or early tomorrow, addendum number 4. It's been a very busy bid phase for staff. Lots of questions, lots of big contractors, some design revisions that we're catching now that we're putting into the contract now to avoid future change orders. And then bids will open on Monday, June 3rd at 2. We also outreached, solicited for construction management and inspection services. We interviewed 3 shortlisted firms on May 7th, and then we made a selection, which is underway with negotiations happening now with the most qualified firm at the moment. You can expect these award items to come together before the board on June 19th. That's the plan. And this is going to be under the same staff report, so there'll be multiple awards essentially under the same staff report, under the same recommendation. This is really just informational. And then going back to the list,
I don't want Director Pennick to be scared when he sees the price tag. These are some big projects.
Take out some zeros.
But we budgeted for it last year, so it's all
Okay.
Yeah.
So there was 11 separate primes.
primes and subs, I think.
Right. So
Ryan. Primes and
11
subs.
primes
11
and
primes.
more subs. We've got a lot of questions. We've got over 150 questions that we've been answering.
So just to give a scale, what's the engineering estimate of both those jobs?
Combined,
combined.
the combined contract value is approximately 18 million is what we're expecting.
And then even the construction management scale.
All of that it'll be in excess of 20 million is what we're expecting.
who are you negotiating for construction contract meeting?
We're selecting Valley CM, who does a lot of our construction management and inspection services on other projects.
Okay.
We interviewed, we had a panel interview with 3 shortlisted firms that included Kennedy Jenks and Hoke, I believe,
Yeah.
Hoke Consulting. And the interviews were very beneficial. They were very productive in determining who the most qualified consultant selection would be. So that was all very good. Really, the kind of last update of significance is for Tres Amigos Waterline Phase 1 replacement. You've heard about this project a lot in the past. You'll recall CEQA initial study mitigated negative declaration adoption of resolution passed in February. We held a pre-proposal meeting similarly for construction management and inspection services. That was on February 12th. 5 CM firms attended that pre-proposal meeting. Interviews were conducted between 3 firms on April 15th, and the selection is similarly underway with negotiations of the most qualified firm. Bid advertisement for this project is anticipated later in June, so about a month, probably, half 2 to 4 weeks away from now will be actually bid advertisement of this. So approximately 2 to 3 months after that, we'll be ready to award. You can expect these items to come to award again, multiple actions under the same staff report before the board in August, September. And again, this is an informational item. This is a high priority project for construction and operations staff. And just lastly, I don't believe it's up on the list.
Real quick before you go there,
Yep.
the committee may recall I sent out information to the board in the wintertime. That this is the line that we experienced something like 14 breaks over 14 months, not one a month. They come in groups, but it's been a lot.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
you
you
better be knocking
on.
Yeah,
What's the
so-
engineer's estimate for?
We're talking about that kind of stuff. I did.
Trace's engineers estimates right around 7 million
So another big
plus everything else like CM, so it'll be closer to probably 10.
Spend that money.
project. I know you want us to.
Speaking of money,
It's a big trains are leaving the stations.
not on the list, but our land outfall parallel sewer section A replacement project was last updated to the committee in March. We held interviews with the top 3 firms, design firms, on April 24th. This is all very fresh. We are in final negotiations now with the most qualified firm. We expect the award of the land outfall design services PSA in June. I'm working right now with Jason to see if we can get it onto the June 5th meeting. Trying to wrap up these negotiations now so we can make the deadline for the agenda tomorrow, really. So it's been good to find a firm. We're actually really confident with the firm that we're gonna get under contract with. They did a really stellar job all the way from getting in front of the proposal RFP all the way through the entire process to the interview. They really hit a home run. So I think we have the right firm. I'm confident about that. So you can expect the award of that coming. It's going to be sizable in the range of about $3 million plus or minus design services PSA. It's large for our design PSAs, so just brace yourself for that. And this is, again, informational for you guys. If there's any questions, I can take those now. This really concludes the capital facilities quarterly update.
Okay, great.
You may recall that project for land outfall is probably like a 2 to 3 year design. Then we start moving into those big
What's the
construction
total?
for the construction or total. I think it's 56 million total over the life of the project.
That's as is budgeted today.
Yeah, but-
And we're still
And
very,
more
very
design,
early.
we'll know.
So, yeah, subject to change.
What's the ENRLA index for the last couple of years?
Well, it's fluctuated a lot. It's in the 9s, 8s, 9s.
Yeah, it's actually went up. Encina just did a report on that to their board. I can't recall what it is, but it's double digits over the last couple when you add up. That's
Yeah.
It's like 12, 13%. It's like 12 over, but I can't remember if that's a 3 or 4 year period.
Yeah.
But when you look at the ENR index and that's all construction composite, including building construction and everything. If you just look at the water utility sections, it's much higher. So mainly because a lot of things that were driven, like a lot of products, is petroleum based, like PVC pipe. So, gas goes up, petroleum pipe goes up, PVC goes up.
Everything goes up. Honestly.
But I mean, that goes up even
Yeah,
higher.
it's just, energy costs go up, everything goes up.
Everything but salaries, huh?
That's a separate meeting. Thank you, man.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for the report. Any other questions?
Just have full confidence.
See you on the board.
You get the best for the least. Ryan's got a lot of,
Busy few months coming here.
yeah, Ryan's got a lot coming up.
Good.
Sorry.
All right, with that, we'll go to item 2, district headquarters ADA bathroom construction option.
I think Erica will be taking this item, so and as you, the keys up, as you recall, this is a continuation from the last meeting where we talked about the options available for the ADA, either full bathroom remodel, ADA option, or really a do nothing option.
All right, I will skip the presentation mode on this one. Good afternoon, Engineering and Equipment Committee. We're here to talk about the ADA restrooms, everybody's favorite topic as of late. So, so I'm just gonna give a quick run through of just the options that we present, the option that we've decided to go with before, which is option 2 from the last meeting. The engineer's estimate. With that, we went and got received a quote from our contractor who originally bid on it. So we're going to present that quote and then go through our options moving forward and our requests from the committee. Okay, so if you recall, this is just a brief overview of the floor plans. I'm not going to go through the women's in too much detail because the work does pretty much mirror each other. But again, they're going to it's designed to relocate the mirror and the counter here and the sink, and to bring that sink up to 34 inches above the floor, to move these partitions to where it is 60 inches clear, that 1 inch from the wall tile here in the bathroom, to relocate the urinal 1 inch to where it will be centered in between these two partitions. And then from there on the outside, it would relocate the door from where it currently is in this alcove. It would bring it out to about the hallway right here. And this alcove would have full wall tiles to match the inside throughout to make it look like it was supposed to, it was there the whole time. And then this doorway will be reframed to just be kind of like a pass-through. Along with that, there will be a marble threshold to bridge the gap between the tile work from what would happen from where they'd be taking out the current door frame. Okay, and then the women's is pretty much the same. Like I said, I'm not going to go through too much of it. It's relocating or raising up the sink to get that 34 inches, and the main things are giving that 1 inch clearance on the tile.
I don't think they have a urinal though.
That's not a urinal.
No, it says number 3, relocate urinal.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, sorry. Copy and paste.
Well, I don't know, maybe they do.
Or, you
It is.
know,
Okay.
all gender.
I'm not gonna
All
ask.
gender restrooms.
2024.
Everything's
So-
off by like 1 inch. It's like they use the roughing dimensions instead of the
Probably.
finish. The
Yep.
finishes.
Yeah, correct. That's what our architect believes happened. So
Yeah.
they built it to that. Okay, so with this option from our last engineering and equipment committee meeting, we went back to the contractor and we asked for a quote to do this job. We met with them on site, had a job walk with them, and they went through, took measurements, and discussed what would be needed to get this project going and try and save a little cost here. If you recall, our engineer's estimate for those two bathrooms combined was around $57,000. Our contractor's quote came in at $68,400 to do both bathrooms, to do that work.
Eric, what was the original price from that contractor to do both of them at full?
The original price was $125.
Now, Director Hernandez did some measurements on his own. Did you get back with him on that? He must have been using a different
He's just
Scale
using,
and
he's using a tape
measure.
measure and he feels that there's a forgiveness in the measurements and the 1 inch won't be something that somebody would sue. I mean, and his personal opinion, when talking, according to him, when talking to the building department is that that amount won't trigger anything, which he may be right about that. We didn't talk to the building department about that, or talk to anybody about it, but as far as the actual measurements, they were remeasured and double checked. We are an inch off, and as far as the statutes of what is in the law, there's no 1 inch grace.
There's
That
no
we
plus or
know
minus,
of.
there's no
No.
plus or minus?
It's not that we know of.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it doesn't mean Director Hernandez is incorrect on how it's applied.
I can hold the building inspector's tape measure.
Yeah, so, obviously Director Hernandez is not part of this committee, but his opinion is there's a do nothing option that he wants to consider.
So with that, we have a couple options. We could contract with EMH Construction, who was the original contractor, to win the bid, and to do the work on both bathrooms to bring them into ADA compliance, remodeling doors and the alcoves, or for a total of $68,400, or we could put the project on hold or cancel it altogether. And so with option one, we would request that to have support from the engineering equipment committee when we take it to the board meeting for approval, the contract approval. And if we go with option two,
It'll be just a general management update.
I guess my own opinion, I support option one. It takes away the question as to whether it's the existing is good enough or not. I think we should just fix it. What's your opinion?
What do you want to do?
I would probably do option one just to save us some headache in the future, probably.
I mean, you're closer to this project than anybody else. I have confidence in your decision making still, so.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I know
have to support that.
everybody was hesitant with the cost, the 125,000, so
Right.
we got it down to 68.4, so I'd say that's a big movement.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
it
it's-
accomplishes the goal, which was to make sure that there was no question, that there's no risk to the district that we can get.
And just to refresh committee's memory, that was what brought this about all along, is it was originally just a remodel.
Mhm.
And then we had a contractor that was working on site mentioned, hey, that bathroom, both your bathrooms are off by that amount. And there's an attorney group going around suing public agencies. Yeah, and then, it's possibly tens of thousands of dollars just to keep it from going to court. And then an engineering firm told us the same thing. So it was not just us, oh, this is off. This
Yeah,
was
so
brought to our
the
attention.
cost of option one is in the same order of magnitude as the potential exposure.
That's what we're thinking.
Yeah, well, with the exposure to lawsuit, you're gonna pay that money, plus you still have to fix it.
Yes, that's a real bummer.
It doubles it really.
Yeah, it goes back to 120.
Yeah.
Yeah. But as Ed mentioned, originally it was a bathroom remodel job, so we're not gonna do the bathroom remodel, which is change out all the countertops and fixtures and everything else. And then the bathroom remodel itself would have been a less expensive job without the ADA. So the ADA compliance basically, I don't know the exact math, but it doubled the bathroom remodel. So now we're just doing the ADA, so it's roughly how. But it's really committee support, and I expect that there will be a healthy board discussion on that. So
Should we
so
demand to see his tape measure?
I don't.
It's a fisherman's tape
Director
measure.
Hernandez is an architect, and he does have direct experience in this exposure, and I can't comment to say whether that level of difference is something that people look the other way or
Or maybe we should have him hold the zero end on the agreement.
No, I can support
Okay.
not. Alright, so staff will bring this forward as a recommendation for option one at 68,400 with committee support.
think we're targeting June 5th.
Correct.
We'll get that in.
Yes, the board
Thank you,
memo's
Friday.
already under this.
Yep, I got it.
I know you spent more time in the bathroom than you wanted to.
Sure.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I was just gonna ask you, I mean, shit, board memo yet, because we gotta crack that up.
So should we do it before or after the budget presentation? You guys wanna be worn out or you wanna be fresh?
Set up shop. Like a projector screen, they hit the.
Okay, so we'll bring it forward based on committee legislation.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Jared.
I just want the committee to have eyes wide open.
Yeah,
Okay.
Take my laptop in there.
I imagine that topic will probably be
Okay, item 3 is AMI pilot update by Chris Tapia.
Yeah, so we asked Chris to come today. So one of the things that has been budgeted for this current fiscal year and going forward is the AMI pilot update, and Chris has been the person leading this charge. It's been in our books and on our to-do list and kind of within our strategies for a number of years, but based on timing and staffing and work plans and just workload, we haven't got it off there. But Chris finally got it off the ground. I know engineering did help a little bit with the contract stuff, but we finally got it off the ground, and he's the man that's been taking care of it. So, Chris, take it away.
At Engineering and Equipment Committee, thank you guys for having me. It's thanks to the engineering team and a lot of other people throughout the district that AMI is even a consideration. So this is informational only, just to let you know what we have planned in fiscal year 24-25 coming up, and hopefully in fiscal years to come. So this is about AMI, Advanced Metering Infrastructure, and our pilot project. What is AMI? The true definition is advanced metering infrastructure. Term synonymous with that is smart metering. It's not exactly the meter that needs to be smart. It's the radio that's tied to the meter and having the infrastructure up to capture the data broadcast from the meter. So you can have a 20-year-old water meter in the ground that has a smart radio and it has the infrastructure to communicate that data to, then that is what provides utility with data to make smart decisions with. I won't read too much, but the last paragraph there I feel was very important. And what I really wanted to point out is that AMI provides benefits primarily in frequent and accurate water usage data to improve billing, leak detection, which would have been beneficial recently, and primarily water resource management. Like I said, you can't see up there, but this is speaking to our radio population. So of the 23,155 current radios in our district, they are all AMR capable, drive-by capable. So we have an antenna mounted in a dedicated vehicle. We bring that antenna and vehicle to the meter once a month. However, 36% of that population is capable of communicating to an antenna that is fixed in the neighborhood, whether it be to a tank, a pump station, whatever it may be. If we had that antenna fixed, it would constantly communicate on demand and on schedule various meter data. The problem with that 36% is it's spread out across our 45 square mile service territory. It is not concentrated in one cycle. So of the 23,000 meters, we have subcategories called cycles. We have 16 meter reading cycles. This pilot, what we did with this pilot was we focused our efforts in cycle 7. So the antenna I spoke of is a 3-foot omnidirectional antenna. It looks a lot like your standard light bulb. That's not in this room, but it's in my office. We are going to mount that at Richland Tank 2, which is on the way up to Emerald Heights, if you're familiar with that road. That antenna there will then pick up all of cycle 7's meter reading data. Cycle 7, I have a map in the upcoming slide. Cycle 7 is one of our smaller cycles, and it had 60% of its radio population ready to communicate. So with the 150,000 budgeted, I spent maybe 30, 40,000 to fill in the remaining portion of cycle 7. We've already done that work. We didn't change out any water meters. There was no interruption to customers. We simply changed the radio that was tied to the existing meter. So again, some of those old meter, smart radio. The data that will be coming through the air is your standard meter reading data, empty pipe alerts, low batteries, reverse flow alerts. There's a list of standard out-of-the-box alerts that we'll get. Mr. Pedrazi lives in Cycle 7, and he has been kind enough to volunteer for us to pilot a new meter type at his house. It's called the Ally, and provides a remote shut-off capability.
I did what?
Yeah. Wes has the login. If you guys would like the login, I can give you that as well.
Just mess with the water anytime you want.
Yeah, I think Wes just told me. I don't
Yeah.
know anything about this.
See how long those showers are.
Yeah. You don't cut my shower down. Everything outside could die before I cut my shower down.
We have a couple of other customers who have volunteered for us to put this Ally meter of the property. Alicia Savidra, she's our customer service supervisor. Her father lives in Cycle 7.
She's volunteered or something.
Yep. I don't know if he knows, but
Was it her father-in-law?
I'm not sure.
The father-in-law, I think, yeah.
I'm not sure, but she volunteered him, and I believe one other customer service rep has a family member in Cycle 7. The Ally is really, really cool because we have the remote shut-off capability and is not full on, full off. We have the ability to throttle that flow down. So throughout the pandemic, we weren't allowed to shut people's water off, but we were allowed to install a flow restrictor to reduce their flow. That took time and effort for staff to pull the meter, insert a flow restrictor orifice plate, and then put it back in. Then they pay the bill, then you go back out and remove it. And there's just a lot of work involved with that, where with this Ally from the office, we can throttle. We can close completely, open completely. It also provides pressure sensing. So if a customer has concerns about their pressure in the area, the meter will broadcast PSI readings, and it will also broadcast temperature readings. Those are the newest of the features with that specific model. And incorporating that data into operations, we can come up with chlorine residuals. We can identify pressure issues with clay valves or other pressure monitoring devices.
Did you guys change my meter yet?
I'd have to double check. Art was there, and he said you just wanted to keep the same old meter. So I think he gave you just a new chamber, just a new measuring chamber.
Yeah.
So the body's still the same old body.
As I say, otherwise I gotta leave early to pick up a 90-pound bag of concrete from Home Depot. Should fill the.
Fill in the meter box nicely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
customers do that.
Oh, I've seen it.
Really?
So the benefit of this pilot will be putting data at the utility's fingertips. So our customer service representatives, when they have a bill disputed, they send my team out there to pull data if the meter is capable of storing data. So many of them are not. Only 7,000 of our 23,000 meters have data storing capability. However, with this AMI, they will have all of the hourly data at their fingertips to resolve any billing disputes.
And the customer can actually see their own data too, correct?
For the pilot,
Not for the pilot, but in the
so
future.
there is a utility-facing dashboard and a customer-facing dashboard. We are not utilizing the customer-facing dashboard for the pilot. But for utility-facing, if anybody would like login credentials, we can get that to you for no charge.
Right, it's me.
Yeah.
We did a project at Rancho about 10 years ago and gave the customer that ability. And so it was huge.
Yep.
It was really beneficial.
Yeah, I was with City of Oceanside with their AMI project, and it was funny because the customer portal was in place before the AMI network was in place.
Yeah. So they couldn't get anything from
They were getting one read a month, so they could do that. They could line up their bills and get the same visual representation. But once the network came on board, it's been a big success. But the end goal of the project is to optimize the use of water consumption data to improve our water management. We buy imported water. It's expensive. It's precious. And with AMI, we can be better stewards of that data. Another benefit is to satisfy legislative requirements, such as those in Senate Bill 606 and 668. Those are based off of making conservation a way of life in California, and the GPCD and other conservation initiatives that are coming down from the state. So that's a quick look at the project. Where is Cycle 7? It's here, outlined, and here. The easiest way to describe it is west of the 15 and north of the 78.
You can see my house from here.
Look at that. And major intersections are Fulton and Woodland, as well as El Norte and Reese. So just to give you a quick idea of the territory that we're talking about.
So
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, how many antennas do you anticipate you're gonna need total for the district?
If we were to seek full coverage, based off of current propagation studies, we would need 9 antennas. However, that's putting a ceiling on the prop study to our existing height of our tanks. If we allowed them to go 30 feet higher, we can cut down to 4 or 5 antennas across the district.
Now you're using a tower though at Richland too, correct?
There is space on the tower. We're not going tank mounted.
Yeah.
Initially, we were going to go temporary tank mounted to your handle.
Try to stay off the tanks.
We found there was space available on the tower
Yeah.
that it won't overload it.
And we can add to those towers.
Mhm.
So.
We're going to boom off the tower and then raise our omnidirectional.
So when it's all said and done, you get any dead spots?
The prop study shows 100% coverage. And then the prop is also designed so that if one antenna goes down, it can be picked up by another antenna.
Okay.
We won't have that luxury with the pilot. With the pilot, we'll just have the one antenna. That one antenna will be capable of picking up more than cycle 7. However, these neighboring cycles aren't fully AMI capable.
I think we got about 95% that range on, so we had to have some kind of residual drive-by capability.
We would experience some of that in cycle 2, which is up in Vista.
The
However,
hilly terrain.
if we had some sort of mutual agreement with other utilities, the way we have allowed a Liebenheim to mount to our assets, that would benefit us.
Okay.
They have a high gain antennas that are available as well. They're a bit more expensive, but they get the signal out a bit further. There's ways to minimize and mitigate having that drive-by. You don't want to invest all this money and still have to go drive by a portion of your utility.
So Chris, you may be getting to it, but what's the schedule of the pilot? And then obviously at one point we'll be coming back to committee and the full board to a decision point. And then I have a follow-up question to that based on a range of the cost range to do full AMI for the district.
Absolutely. On the right-hand side, it addresses a lot of that. Starting fiscal year 24-25, we'll get that antenna mounted to Richland tank. We'll have the data flowing through the air and coming back to the utility. We're going to collect data from that point through calendar year 2024 close. I anticipate coming back to various committees at the beginning of 2025 to outline the benefits that were realized, such as resolving customer issues, reduced truck rolls. Currently, we have to roll trucks for a move-in, move-out scenario. We won't have to do that, so we're saving on the wear and tear of our vehicle, our greenhouse footprint, our carbon footprint. There's a lot of efficiencies that will be reported on at the beginning of 2025. And at that time, one of them also is the read success rate. Industry standard on read success rate that's built into most AMI contracts. Our network provider, if they say they need 9 antennas, we give them 9 antennas, they have to hit 98.5% read success rate, or any additional infrastructure is on them.
Are these 902, 928 megahertz? What are they broadcasting at?
And then 922. And this is all, I think I missed it, but it's on the slide. These are all broadcasts on a licensed radio frequency. It is not unlicensed.
Spread spectrum.
We are the only ones on this frequency. So it's not interfering with any SCADA communications for the district. It's not interfering with any local law enforcement or police or fire, any local, tow truck guys.
We had the license for a while.
The license is licensed for our drive-by system. It's part, so Census is who we are using, and they are one of the few licensed providers. So Oceansides is an unlicensed spectrum. Who's fully AMI. Padre Dam uses an unlicensed spectrum, but this one will be on a license.
Livenheim's for you.
Yeah, but it's still low frequency. Otherwise, you'd have to have a lot more line of sight. These will bend and bounce because that's what our stated frequency is.
922, 925. They're under 1,000. Way under 1,000. So
I was doing geek mode there.
that's all right. I'm glad you asked, because I had it in the
Some
previous
of
slide,
this
I didn't
sounds
mention
vaguely
it.
familiar.
Yeah.
Um,
Go and tell them that read.
So when I bring back all the data that we've accumulated during the pilot, it would be time to discuss if we would like to seek full deployment. And if so, what full deployment look like? Is it a slow phased approach? Maybe $1 million a year for 5 to 6 years? Or is it a fast approach where we try to get this done in a year?
For 300.
3 million from us and 2 million from the feds, maybe.
Yeah, from
Yeah.
grants.
Something that I didn't mention in here, but Liebenheim is the benefactor of year after year. What Oceanside was the benefactor of federal grant funding. The Bureau of Reclamation has a grant called the Water Smart Grant, and that in Oceanside contributed 5 million over 3 years for us there. Liebenheim, they get roughly $500,000 every year from this grant. They have 3 tiers of grant applications. Tier 1, you can ask for up to 5 million. Tier 2, you can ask for up to 1.5 million, and tier 3 up to $500,000. So we get to decide which tier of funding we're seeking
Based on the pace that you decide to put in.
based on the pace and scope and scale. However,
is
we
that-
have to go.
Sorry, is that a 50-50 grant or is that a
The utility has to cover at least 50% of the cost of the entire project. And then the federal funding can cover the additional. There are stipulations like the BABA, Buy America, but there are waivers that have been initiated because, I mean, one of these meter guys, they're foundries in Alabama, but the electronic components come from overseas. So there have been waivers established, so you can still use the funding, can still satisfy the BABA and the Buy America stuff.
And Oceanside did a full deployment. They went aggressive, where
As fast as possible.
Liebenheim kind of did a phased approach as grant funding was available. So there's different.
So there's your bookends.
Yeah.
Yep. So the slow rolled approach would be leave the older meters in the ground, stand up the network, put smart radios across the district, and get the full benefit of an AMI system. And with that data, there are actually algorithms that will tell us that meter over there is slow. I can tell based off of the data coming in. You look up the install date, and it's been in the ground 20 years. I wouldn't be surprised if we bench test it, it is slow. So Moulton to Gill, Water District up to 5, they did the slow phased approach, network infrastructure, radios, and then with the grant funding, they're putting new ally meters in the ground, the remote shutoffs. So that was their approach, was network, scrub the data, identify the slow meters where we're losing revenue because that meter is only clocking 80% of the water going through it. And then with the grant funding, go back behind and change out the actual meter itself for one that has all the bells and whistles and remote shut-off capabilities.
Is the remote shut off available in all meter settings?
Right now, it's only 1 inch and below. 1 inch and below.
I think Wheeler started that project first, and then everybody else started doing the automatic shuttle.
The first iteration, you had to replumb everything in the box.
Yeah, it was a nightmare.
The lay length was not your standard lay length, but they have now got it fitting in traditional lay lengths.
So is it legal to throttle flow for
We did it.
conservation?
Every utility did it.
Yeah.
During
Well,
pandemic.
for lack of payment. I don't know about for conservation.
Throttling for conservation.
I don't know if it's legal for conservation, but I know
Yeah,
for lack of
I mean,
payment.
if somebody's wasting water.
If the new water regulations with the GPC criteria come to play, then there'll probably be litigations too, but there'll be challenges in the state level on that, and then there'll be the follow-up of, okay, at what point when you let a customer know they're using above their gallons per day per capita limit, or how much above limit, is there a throttling option or something like that?
Yeah.
That hasn't been vetted yet.
Yeah, we haven't started doing water budgeting yet, but it's coming.
So one of the things, I guess, to mention, if some of those Senate bills, Assembly bills go through and water budgeting becomes a reality, then the need for AMI becomes more essential. Besides just the benefits that it could provide, it becomes almost an operational essential.
Now it's got so many benefits, labor saving.
Yeah,
Awesome.
district metering areas is practice used on the electric side, and it's becoming more prevalent in the water. Where if we know this tank is feeding this zone, we can do a quick aggregate of the meters here to see if it matches what's come through the tank, to see if we're losing anything in that zone.
As the commodity becomes more expensive, it makes more sense to do this kind of program.
It does. So the pilot can go as long as we want. The contract is set up that way that the pilot can last a year, 2 years, whatever we would like.
So 20 years of pilot. or
Of
that
one,
zone.
one antenna.
Just kidding.
Yeah, but there's $61,000 in deferred costs associated to the pilot. That if we walk away at the end of the pilot and say this isn't for us, this isn't the time, we don't owe them that money. We do owe that money if we decide to go full deployment. But at the moment, this project has only cost us the 30,000 radios and another 49,000 in setting up the antenna and some software integration.
So this is census.
Census, they're a Xylem product, so Xylem, a lot of that stuff's used at the plant. Yep.
So apparently I need to invite you to my luncheon in August, so that there's not suddenly a water on, or
Yes.
try to take a shower.
Invite
me to your barbecue.
Sorry.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Well, I'm gonna give those login credentials to everybody.
I still don't remember volunteering for this. You know, I'm getting old.
Volunteer a
memory
lot.
is-
It's 2
memory
years
is-
ago.
Yeah, we've been
2
working on-
years
yeah.
ago.
2.5 years ago.
Oh, I can't remember what I did last week.
Especially with the
Yeah,
Christmas
that's
party.
why.
Yeah.
Did I sign something? I don't think I
There's
signed
no
it.
I can't
statute.
remember yesterday.
December
There's no
25th.
statute of limitation on your volunteer.
Sounds like I
Chris,
got
go ahead and finish,
voluntold.
sorry.
The last thing I'll leave you guys with is I'd like to invite everybody in the room to an AMI workshop that I'm putting together.
Just in case you haven't got enough of the AMI, you
Yeah.
want more.
I recommend popping in just for one. We're gonna have 4 different utilities presenting, so it's not sales based, it's end users. But there's one utility that I think you'd be interested in hearing from. That's Eastern Municipal Water District. They're up to 15 in Menifee, Paris area. They're the 6th largest retail agency in California. They have 601 square mile service territory. They are fully AMI with Census Network. They also used to buy the cheapest meter possible and connect it to the Census radio. So their approach is also network infrastructure, smart radio. They're now going behind and changing meters. So that is a free event at Palomar College that I put together with my Palomar contact and my contacts at AWWA.
Who's the person at Eastern?
His name is David Gagnow. He's the meter services manager. I don't know who his boss is.
And where are the other agencies?
Other agencies that will be presenting are Lake Arrowhead Community Services District. Very small, 7,000 connections, but a very unique topography. And they're fully AMI on the mountain with the peaks and valleys. They use a mesh network. It's unlicensed. It bounces around. Another utility presenting is, I have it here. Monte Vista Water District. They are up off of the 210 freeway, West San Bernardino County, East LA County, Montclair, Claremont. They use a licensed radio frequency with Camstrup. And our final presenter is Calaveras County, another smaller mountain community, who the quantity isn't very large, but the topography is very unique and challenging. A lot of snow up there in Calaveras for those guys. One of our sponsors for lunch is a company called Subeka. They are new to the market. They use Amazon Sidewalk Network to piggyback off of. So something kind of cool. But I can send you information on that workshop if you'd like. We'll have breakfast and lunch provided. We'll have vendors out with booths. Census will be represented there. Just like I said, it's a full day event, 8 to 3, but I recommend popping in specifically. I have a time slot for Eastern. It is 12:45 to 1:45, right after lunch. They use the exact same network that we're looking to pilot.
What building?
It is at the Student Union. So,
Thank you.
yeah, absolutely. Thank you guys.
Any other questions?
Great job. Thank
No,
you.
I mean, yeah, it's done very well.
Cool. Thank you.
That's it. AMI, let's get it.
I think that's all of our agenda. So I think we're adjourned.
Thank you.
Thanks. everybody.